Welcome to Intellicide, our review of the new movie Free Guy,
Yes, sir.
starring Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. I'm Anthony Gentry. My co-host is Kyle Palmenville.
Welcome.
Yes, sir.
So, Free Guy. I'll let you go first. How did you see it? Did you see it in the theater?
I saw it in the theater. I've been wanting to see it for a while from the previews. And I don't know what exactly I was expecting. It was a Ryan Reynolds film. I mean,
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
It seems to me that he has a distinctive flair, and I guess it was some moments in the film that I enjoyed, but others I was just like,
So spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, go see it and then come back, and then like and subscribe.
Yeah.
So, the story was basically about a video game.
Yep.
That was basically Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Kind of a combination Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Was the vibe I got.
Listen, most of those games, and I haven't been a huge gamer like I was when I was younger, but right, from what were those shooter games? Half-Life. What was the other big one?
I mean, I go back to personally. I remember I got into networking by playing Doom. Doom way back in the day. Quake.
What was the other popular one where people would just camp all the time?
Quake. Half-Life.
No, not Quake.
Team Fortress.
Yeah, yep.
So I mean, these are not new, like you said.
No.
These types of multiplayer first-person shooter games have a long history. But it had like what was interesting, I thought, was it had this very they had set up. So the premise of the story is these two programmers who created this game that had a really advanced AI. But the whole premise of the game was basically you go to this island, this virtual island, and you interact with these characters, these people. But they were AIs, and they changed and they learned and they grew. Well, some guy from a game company bought this and said, that's boring. And he turned it into a shooter. And the reason that people supposedly love it is because the NPCs were so realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, there is this underlying theme in the story of how, like mankind is just fundamentally awful. Like,
terrible, man. Terrible.
They just give them this paradise, and what do they do with it? They turn it into this, war zone.
We're right. What do they say? Like, how many NPCs have you killed or whatever?
Yeah.
So, I mean, right. And
which is again like Westworld. I mean, it's basically like Westworld, right? But what was the story is about Ryan Reynolds NPC who wakes up one day. He's an AI who gains sentience and decides to fight back and become a player in the game.
And I mean, you know what, that I did enjoy that aspect of the film. That storyline. It was just nitpicky things that like the one scene where the one guy, he had killed somebody and then he teabagged them. Listen, that's classic.
Just a throwaway, yeah.
I mean, you couldn't have played a shooter and not seen that before, and it was juvenile.
This was my first experience back in the theater in a long time, right? And I took the whole family, and so I'm sitting next to my 10-year-old, and we're watching the movie, and that scene came on, and she's played like Minecraft and Roblox and stuff, but she was apparently not familiar with that. And that scene came and went, and she looks at me, she's like, "What was that?" And I'm like, "I know what that is. That's teabagging right there." Like, you're weird. Like that.
Listen.
You got to be there. I don't know. It's like that's an old school game.
That was not a family moment right there.
No, it was not. No, it was not.
But yeah, one of the things that was I thought was I found myself concentrating on. So in the film, Ryan Reynolds' character, he runs across and he wakes up, as you say, when one of the PCs, the players, walks by him singing a song that he always wakes up to.
Yeah.
So,
so what I thought that was really I really enjoyed that undercurrent of the movie, that there was a love,
that was good.
that there was a, it was a love thing, that Ryan Reynolds' character falls in love with this girl, and that's what activates him. And what was really going on through it was that the two programmers who originally made it, were in love. They were two nerds who were secretly in love but never acted on it because they were nerds. And so the guy who made the program, this personality, basically gave him all the triggers of who he loved, which was the real life girl. So it was like this expression of, which I thought was really well played out in the story. Because at the end, the AI realizes exactly what's going on, and Ryan Reynolds is like, no, it's not. I'm not in love with you. I'm just a reflection of him. He's the one who was in love with you. And he just lays it out. And it was like therapy. It's like, Ryan Reynolds becomes their relationship counselor.
Well, I did like the friendship that he had with Rail's character, the security guard. But the one thing that I found funny was when they were at the hideout, and they're talking, and eventually he kisses her, and she's like, wow, he kissed her, and she's talking to the male programmer, and he's like, there's not a button for that, and she's like, yeah, he found the button. But then later on, she kisses him. Like,
where's the button for that? Apparently,
that's exactly what I was thinking, man.
Yeah, that's totally nitpicky. I did catch that too. You're right. Yeah.
I said, now wouldn't that have been?
I remember watching that scene going, hey, I thought there wasn't a button for that.
Exactly. And I said, it would have been great if, because, there's been other games like Second Life where, they don't have program buttons for things, but people have found inventive ways to express, things like that. And that's what I was thinking, that the tribute to video games would have been better if they would have had some kind of awkward, response from her character. And he's like, Ryan Reynolds would have been like, hey, what are you trying to do? And she could have said like, well, there's no button. For that. I thought that was
actually would have been really good. Actually, See, they should be hiring you as a writing consultant. You're right. That actually would have been way better.
It
was a fun movie. I did enjoy. So personally, nerding out just a little bit here. The little thing that I saw that I thought was kind of cool was when they showed the decision tree of a basic NPC. And then having dabbled a little bit in machine learning and AI, that when they showed him, like his decision, very simple decision tree as an NPC in a basic video game, and then they showed him activate, and they showed it was basically like, it was a decision tree of actual AI decision tree, like that comes out of the back of him. That was really, like, they actually really showed like what a real AI decision tree would look like. And it does get that exponentially big. And that's kind of the thing that I thought it was nice that they touched on in the movie, is that the thing about an AI is that, as it grows, it's going to start taking up huge amounts of space. And so they actually comment on that. One of these things is getting huge. Like one of these NPCs taking up a ton of disk space all of a sudden.
I did. I enjoyed. I enjoyed the I guess the game moderators, trying to track them down, and hey, you're a hacker that has taken the skin of a NPC.
And he's like, what's a skin? I actually thought that was kind of cute. Well, just the way that, and I thought that was really good, the way that both the guy who played his buddy, the security guard, and he both played when they were simple AIs and when they were when they were growing in sentience.
Right.
Like, because he played it, the guy who played the security guard played it like through the whole thing. I thought it was great, where he's just like, what's going on? That's
Right.
not possible. Like, you know, he was like, he couldn't even fathom what was going on. And then like later on, when he's in the place he's really supposed to be, all these programs have been out of place, and then they're actually in the program they were originally meant for. Then he's like, oh yeah, okay. He drops the belt for the last time. He's like, well, you do whatever you want to do. He's like, oh yeah. Drops the belt.
Yeah. Hey, I did. I really did enjoy the play between Ryan Reynolds and Rail Johnson's characters.
It was a there have been so many worse done video game movies.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely. Ready Player One.
Oh man. I mean, it wasn't a terrible movie. It was just limited by the property rights of the makers. You know, they couldn't use everything that was in the book that would have made it even cooler.
Listen, I enjoyed what was the Wreck-It Ralph more than Ready Player One. And I mean, you know, even like just the way they did it, like it was fun, it was humorous, and it was a
video game,
a sentimentality behind it that, you know, I just enjoyed a little bit more. You know, I think it was a missed opportunity on that movie's part. Now, Free Guy did do a better job. I just, you know, it was just a few things. Like I said, it was just nitpicky stuff on my end.
Yeah,
or whatever.
And I found myself. You made me realize that's actually become a genre of movie now, like the sentient video game genre of movies now. In the genre of sentient video games, this was well done. Yes,
but I mean,
I agree. I really like Wreck-It Ralph. And I really like, I do like Ready Player One. I really like the book of Ready Player One, and I thought it was really interesting. But there's another one actually that I thought is a book that I really liked, that they're making into a movie about the metaverse, from oh boy, it was not a William Gibson book. Dang, now of course I'm having a brain fart. But Facebook announced that they're making in VR the metaverse from the series of books. That's basically an online, like they had in Ready Player One, where there's like an online world where you can get an avatar and go do all sorts of stuff virtually that's persistent and changeable, and you can buy property there and things like that. That supposedly is going to change the game for VR, but we'll see.
Listen, let me get this book real quick. This is the one that I hope that they make into an actual movie. Psychodrome by Simon Hawke. This is a pretty old book, and this is number 2, but it's about a guy, and it's like a virtual reality style game where they hook you up to some equipment, and they send you out, and the people tune in to your feed or whatever.
Okay.
But you know, they build it up as that is right. It's just a game, but it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, people actually get killed. They actually they meet an alien race that is not, I won't say that they're not well intentioned, but they're shapeshifters, and they're in like interactions with humans have basically made them, you know, dislike humans, and so they are out to do some harm to humans.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you post a link to that?
No, I'll post a link to it.
Yeah, because I'll check that one out.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
The one I was thinking of is it's a 1992 book by a guy named Neil Stevenson called Snow Crash.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've ever read it.
I
It's
have.
actually really good. I really recommend it. Snow Crash is really good. Cyberpunk novel that had like the original. I mean, it had the metaverse in it, which was kind of like what they did in Ready Player One, but
Okay.
decades before. And it's very similar, where they got a main character who fights half his battle in a virtual world through his avatar.
Okay. Yeah, post a link to that.
Okay, I will. But it is the whole mix of with virtual reality becoming more popular now, there is a growing mix of video game, real life. Like there is actually a thing now, because I don't know if you have any VR. I have an Oculus.
No, we talked about that. I wanted to get one. I may get one still, but I'm gonna hold off. Have you been using it lately?
Yeah. I mean, it has it's a lot of fun. They have some party games that are fun to use with it. They have some excellent workout games. They have some I do a lot of the workout games. I do a lot of the I'm a huge fan of Beat Saber. But they actually have some really good games now that are board games, that are virtual board games they have one called Demio. That's where you and some friends are collectively around this virtual game board, and you have little characters and pieces, and it's all animated, and you can move them around, and when they attack, it's animated. It's a very cool experience. And it's like you join a game, and it could literally be 3 other people from anywhere in the world. I've joined the game and join a random game, and I get people from like Europe and South America and Asia, and we're all just in a game together.
Oh, wow.
4 people from 4 corners of the world, and we sit for half an hour and play a game together. It was actually kind of cool.
Oh, wow. It's cool.
But that kind of thing is actually, like the mix of, people being able. So it was funny you mentioned it, because I was thinking through the whole movie, Free Guy, about Second Life, because the name of their game, the original game that was the basis of the AI, that it was very similar to Second Life. It was something like Nature Life or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
But it made me think of Second Life, like the whole time I'm watching. I'm like, which was very similar in that it didn't have the AI, but it was one of those things where it was roundly criticized as being boring because it didn't have combat, but for some reason had like a steady using of people. All it was people going into a virtual reality and socializing.
Right. I mean, there were people that had actually their avatars were married in Second Life.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I mean, it was like you said, it had a huge following. You know, I played a lot of games, and one of the things that I don't like is the PvP aspect. I'm more of a PvE.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And I really abhor games that force me to do PvP. I can't stand it because it's like I don't want to play anymore.
It ruins many multiplayer games. A lot of these games where they want you to survive and craft and that, well, then they allow like player versus player. So what happens is you spawn in, your character starts trying to kill small things and gather some supplies, and a high level player comes along, kills you, takes everything, and you have to start over. And that happens repeatedly, and it ruins tons of games. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it has become a thing where, people want to play either. And so the challenge then becomes, and this gets to, people are awful, right? This goes back to a recurring theme in our shows, is that the reason that these games, multiplayer games, become, it starts to suck is because people are awful. Listen, they don't play it right. They cheat.
Back in the day, I used to be a big Diablo player. I mean, I played it back in the military, the first one. And what would really get me, you would go down to like, deep in this dungeon with somebody that you didn't know. And they kill you. Like you fight like all these creatures, they kill you, take your stuff, and you have to respawn and try. Like, they couldn't take all your stuff, but you had to respawn. You didn't have, but
you had to go all the way back down to try to get your stuff back.
all the way back down to get your stuff. like that used to infuriate me.
Yeah, me too. I remember that, man. That
Oh
so
man,
much.
but
It
was
ruined the game.
things, right,
It
and
totally ruined the game.
it was things like that like I was set on PvP from that point on. I said, yeah, this ain't for me.
Yeah,
I don't play like that.
I do play some PvP games, but to me, PvP, it's like the game needs to be specifically made for PvP, like
Yeah.
Fortnite, or Operation One, or games that are specifically made to be you against another human.
Yeah.
But when it's meant to be like you versus the environment,
Yeah.
I don't like that PvP aspect being thrown in. Unless, which is why I thought the game in the movie was really cool, honestly, because if you had an AI that advanced, that would be really cool to see a game. I really enjoy games that have really good AIs.
Right.
And so, okay, AIs in a game. One of the most impressive AIs I'd ever seen in a game personally was a game called Black and White that was published by EA 20 years ago.
Right.
And in it, you were raising a small, you were a god over a village of little people, and you had an avatar who was this giant creature, and you raised the creature from a baby into a giant creature, and it learned. And if you were nice to it, and you could teach it to do things, and if you were nice to it, it grew up nice, and if you were mean to it, it would take it out on the villagers, and it would turn evil. And it was a really interesting AI that, but it was very basic, but it was it was an interesting thing where it was this little creature that would behave in a way that it learned and grew depending upon how you treated it and what you did.
Right.
And this is 20 years ago.
Right.
And I was fascinated by that game back then. And that type of thing I think would be really cool. If you could actually go into a Second Life type of game and have a conversation with an AI that is personable, because there's Google Assistant right now, which you could technically go into Google Assistant and have a conversation, but I would not call it entertaining.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's it's a lot of canned responses, and it doesn't actually learn. There is some branching to it. Like, hey, if Siri or hey Google, show me this. And okay, well, do you want to see this? No, I don't want to see that. Show me this. Okay, and then it shows you a little bit more. But it's not a true AI, and it would be interesting to see something like you said in a game that could grow. I just fear that like Black and White, because of the trolls and those people, that it would just, I mean, it'd be a dark world. You think reality is bad? Go into a world where it's been learning, from people that go into these games, and you're like, man, I'm good with role or games. I'm not playing this game anymore.
That's actually an interesting point. Like, if you had, well, I guess that's kind of what they're doing in the show now. But yeah, there's the difference of the Terminator thing where the AI comes online, looks at your Ultron, AI comes online, looks at humanity as it is, and goes, that's bad. Got it. But then if you had one that came online and actually saw like what humanity does in video games,
right? Yeah.
Then it'd be like, oh my God, like that's even worse.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can honestly say, man, I haven't played one single hour of Fortnite. I've seen it played. It's not for me.
I've played it a little bit. It is one of those games that I like because you can play it for a few minutes. Like if I'm waiting to do something, I don't have that long. I don't have that much attention. Like you said, as I got older, I don't have as much attention span. Like the days of me sitting down and playing 12 hours of video games are long behind me. So now it's like I look for a quick game that I can sit down, play for a little bit, and then I'm done. And Fortnite does that. You log in, play a game, map shrinks, you're done.
The last, I can remember playing Halo. I want to say it was Halo 2. And I remember, and I thought I was a okay Halo player back in the day. So I remember, man, I'm playing some PvP, and one of these, this guy is running, and he's far away. He's running, and I'm trying to shoot him. He snipes me from a super far away, and he's running. He's running, and I'm like, oh my God, like that was incredible. And then his voice comes on, and it was like a 12-year-old kid.
And the funny part is, I've had the same exact experience, and it makes me wonder if it was the same kid.
I said, I'm done. So that I was out the game after that, man. I said,
well,
yeah.
I don't know if this will make you feel better or worse, but if you think about it, that little kid is probably like 30 now.
Yeah. Oh man,
I'm sorry.
It was bad, man. I mean, his voice came on. It was like, oh no, like, yeah. I said, I gotta hang up the hat.
I remember playing Halo with a friend of mine who is longtime active duty military guy who's actually been in many actual real life firefights and such. And, he got stomped in Halo by this kid. And I remember him going, well, I'm done.
Yeah. Listen, my game, I play co-op now, man. One of the games that I really enjoy playing with friends was the Rainbow Six collection of games.
Strategy and
because a lot of people like Call of Duty. Now, Call of Duty to me is it's way out there. It's like the anti-realism. You can get shot, so many times, and you're running around and you're shooting, and it's one of those things where, right, people are like, they have this warped perception of how it would be to be in a gunfight. Whereas Call of Duty, like you might take 2 bullets, or in the Rainbow Six games, you might take 2 bullets and you're out.
Yeah,
you're done.
Well, I mean, I played a lot of Call of Duty, and to me, I know what you mean. It does, because it's totally unrealistic. But the thing that it trained me on is the idea that, in a real gunfight, I'd be dead long, like early in the gunfight. Yeah, like because I've played that scenario before. Like I've played Call of Duty. I've run up the beach in Omaha, and I know I wouldn't even make it to the shore, because I've done it. And it is. I really do enjoy some of the strategy games, like you said. Rainbow Six is really cool because you have to plan out everything ahead of time, right. And then you have to execute on it, right. Which also is cool because they have some interesting AI of the other people. If you're doing Rainbow Six by yourself, right. Some of your teammates are really AI, which makes it interesting. If you had to rate it in 1 to 5 star, what would you give?
I'd probably give it 3 and a half.
3.5 stars for Free Guy? Yeah. Okay. I would give it, it's a fun movie. I think I'd probably give it 4 stars.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a fun movie. I would recommend, I'll watch it again.
Yeah, I'll watch it again when it comes out on video.
Yeah. So there's if I would pay to see it again in the theater, that's fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay. Yeah, no, I wouldn't pay to see it.
But 4 stars is I watched it once, and if it's on again on streaming, I'll watch it. Sure. Yeah. A 3 star, I saw it once. I'm good. I don't ever need to see it again. If it's on streaming, I probably will pass it up.
I hear you.
2 star, you get down to like 2 or 1 star, and then it's so bad I might actually watch, because then you're talking like Velocipaster.
Oh, bro. Listen, I'm one of those guys, and I love watching movies. I can remember there was a free college movie. I want to say it was it's about one of those Indian American Indian movies back in the day.
Dances with Wolves or something? Or
no, it wasn't Dancing with Wolves. It was actually about a Native American.
Okay.
And it was terrible. I said I'm just watching this because I don't have anything else to do. But I don't walk out of movies. I like if I pay for a movie, it's got to be that bad for me to walk out of it. I'll just sit there because I paid my money. I'm going to watch it to the end. Now, I might not like it, but I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
But yes, I've seen some stinkers. I've seen some real stinkers.
I've walked out on movies. There's a fine line. So if I can, I'll switch to Mystery Science Theatering the movie but that detracts from the enjoyment of everyone around me. So if I can't do that, then I'll leave. Because if the movie's really bad, then I can't help myself but start to make fun of it.
Well, I've gotten very discriminating with my money in my dollars.
Me too.
I mean, I am on the AMC A list. So I get 3 movies a week. I can't do that like I used to back in the day, but I'll try to see at least 2 movies a month. But even with that, I'm not gonna just go out and see everything. It's got to be something that either a franchise that I've enjoyed before or something that just interests me. That if there's any doubt in my mind, I'll wait till either someone says something or it comes out on video.
Yeah, wait to see the reviews.
Yeah.
All right,
sir.
Well, that's been our review of Free Guy.
Yes, sir.
Intellicide signing off.
Yes, sir.
Have an excellent afternoon.
Hey, make sure you post a link to that book series.
I will. Snowcraft.
All right. Yes, sir.
Signing off.